Welcome to Starry Night Program's video on how to create a great application. It's part of our What Artists Need to Succeed series, and we're going to talk about what we're looking for in an application and what a lot of organizations are looking for when they review your application. So I hope this helps you to submit really strong applications to lots of opportunities and exposure programs and residency programs, whether they're ours or not. I think what we're going to cover here is really standard in, I would say, most of the applications that I've ever seen, no matter what organization I was a panelist for and I was reviewing it for. So who am I? I'm Monica Profit. I'm the founder of Starry Night Programs. I founded Starry Night in 2011, and before that I worked as an arts administrator and curator and executive director for other organizations, a project manager, handled a lot of things, and this is just a smattering of the various organizations that I worked with, partnered with, had a show of my own work in, was funded by, curated a show in, worked for and partnered with in some way to put on a show, or spoke at, say, FIT, or was invited to speak. I will soon be speaking at Texas Tech University. I've also been funded by a couple of these organizations for public art commissions. So I've seen a lot of applications. I reviewed applications for a lot of these organizations as well as my own, and I've submitted applications to almost all of these organizations for one thing or another. So I've seen both sides of it, and I've reviewed thousands of applications for lots of cultural organizations, whether they're on the county, state, or city, or independent kind of realm. So that's me in a nutshell, and I hope that what I've learned over the years is going to help you. So how it helped me was that it's funded some of my projects. Here are projects of mine going back to as far as 2004 that I've gotten some kind of funding and granting for. So whether it was space and money, or usually it's money, but sometimes it's just in space itself, or being a part of a larger group show. These are all solo shows that I've gotten funding for as a working artist myself. So I've been on both sides of it, and I've benefited from this knowledge, and I really hope that you guys can benefit from it too. So the Starry Night Residency Program is one place where you can submit an application. You can see at the bottom, that's our URL, starrynightretreat.com/residencies. And that's just a picture of our courtyard and some artists hanging out over there on the side. And I love this program. I think it's fantastic, and we accept applications on a quarterly basis so that you can't miss a deadline and have to wait a year. It just seemed like we could make that more accessible, so we did. This is the Starry Night Exposure Program, which was the second program that we sort of launched at Starry Night, and it's for exhibitions and really exclusive art fairs where visual artists wouldn't necessarily have access if they hadn't already been picked up by a gallery, which creates a chicken and an egg problem I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with. You can't get into the big places without being in a gallery, but you can't get seen by a gallery without being in the big places. So we created the exposure program, and we're accepting applications there, and that's the application we're going to be using as an example because it's slightly more complicated than our residency application. So if you're looking to go to New York, Miami, Los Angeles, or soon Venice, you can fill out this application or just go through it with us and use it as an example so you can leverage that knowledge into all kinds of other applications you can apply for. So here's the exposure application. The URL at the top is where you can find the application online, and it's not downloadable. You do it in the actual interface. So if you want to be really careful about maybe your internet connection is going to go down, or maybe something's going to happen that can, get between that being uploaded properly, you want to make sure that these things in blue down below, your resume, your artist statement, your images, and your description sheet, they're all accessible on your hard drive, and you're copy pasting whenever possible. The images you're going to upload, but the rest of it, make sure you've got that information not directly typed in. Plus, when you directly type it in, you're so increasing your chances for a typo, and typos just make you look stupider than you are. I know because I'm really good at typos. If you've ever received an email from me, you know. Typos are kind of my favorite, and I don't like that about myself, but it's something that we all, I think especially as visual artists, need to be really aware of. So we're going to be asking for those four main things: your resume, your artist statement, your images in a specific format, and your description sheet. Now you also want to make sure you read the directions as to what pieces are even going to be considered. And in this case, your pieces cannot be larger than 28 inches for visual art. So you need to keep that in mind. So you don't even bother to go through this process unless you have pieces that will fit the requirements. So we're going to start with your artist resume. Here's a good template, and there are so many wonderful books as resources. Not everybody's up for, plodding through another book when they are out of school, but I have found these to be really helpful. There's a few that are just my go-to favorites. The Artist Guide by Jackie Battenfield and Artwork by Heather Darcy Bandari and Jonathan Melber are two amazing ones. Artspire just came out with one called The Profitable Artists, and that kind of covers visual arts, performing, literary. It's really in-depth, and I love the Artist Guide to Public Art. And who wrote that? It was someone Bassa. Lynn Bassa, that's who. Just a wonderful, wonderful guides. But if you're not up for a book, hopefully we've pulled some of the best of what we've ever found and seen, and we can tell you. So this, whether you have letterhead at the top or not, you can just put your name in a nice font, it's fine. But it's good to put these things in as much order as you can in this type of a format, because it's really easy for a panelist to look at it quickly. You have to understand panelists are going to probably be reviewing between 50 and 500 applications when they review yours. So you don't want to stick out for any bad reason because it's really easy and tempting as a panelist to go, oh, problem, done, out. You just reject it. So use this template. Come back to this screenshot if you need to. This is actually just directly from a program that we have that we're just about to launch for the art school program, Artist Resources and Tools. And we put this together and we're just giving it away now to hopefully help you here. But, looking at your education first, having the year really simply displayed on the left side. Now, it doesn't mean that having not a lot of things on your resume looks terrible. If you have hardly anything to put on your resume, you could put something that's a small description of a project to fill in some of that negative space. If you haven't gotten maybe a master's degree or even a Bachelor of Fine Arts, you need to put in whatever you have gotten, or if there's no study at all, or if there's just been a smattering of workshops, you can put that, move it to the bottom as additional study, or just general studies, or education in general, and you can just put kind of a collection of where you've taken classes. Selected exhibitions, now we put it that way because some people have had solo shows, some people have not. You want to put your solo shows at the top, your group shows at the bottom if you can, and usually in chronological order. Publications, not everyone's had one. We have a few publication opportunities for artists, and if you can find publication opportunities, always go for it because it's great to start populating that part of your resume. Next is writing your artist statement, and there are sort of 5 ways to make your artist statement really shine to a panelist. And one is to keep it simple, stick to the basics. Make logical transitions between your paragraphs, have between 3 and 5 paragraphs. I'd say 5 is actually almost too many unless they're very concise paragraphs. If you're a panelist and you just see, oh my God, this is so much content, first of all, the person might look a little vain or just verbose, and you don't need to look that way if you just keep it concise. Leave out the fluff. Whenever you're rereading something that you're going to submit, think about if there is another way to say that is quicker, more to the point, more clear. Clarity is huge. And if you can't get it across clearly, do your best job as possible and have a loved one or someone who cares about you help you, because this is really important. You need to know your destination before you embark. So before you write your statement, you've got to know its purpose. And in this case, its purpose is to get across that you're an awesome artist as fast and as clearly as possible, that your work is strong, that you think clearly, you're not going to name drop and use obscure knowledge, you're not there to tell people how to think or feel. That is not going to work. And it's not an opportunity to just sort of navel gaze and review your life history. You need to just be very clear about what your artist statement, like what your work is really about, as quickly as possible. Now, maybe you don't even know what it's about, and you should start asking people, what do you think my work is about? And see what resonates with you. What am I doing? How am I doing it? And why am I doing it are the 3 most important things. In fact, those could be the ways that you start to tackle your 3 paragraphs. And your 3 paragraphs, please don't make them more than like 3 to 5 sentences long. even a paragraph that has 2 quick sentences, if they are really well crafted and they're really to the point, that's a great wrap up right there. So, I can't stress it enough. Being brief, it can be really a powerful thing. So write it in the first person, make it somewhat conversational without sounding like you just don't care, but you don't need to have hyper, academic speak in your artist statement. In fact, how many of those do you see in exhibitions that you go to in reputable places? Yeah, maybe an exhibition in a very academic environment is going to require that, but when you think about where you're actually going to want to show your work, again, knowing your destination, you speak to that audience, and typically, to be concise, you want to write in the first person and in everyday English. And let your freak flag fly, in the sense that if you have really violent work, if you have really somber work, let that come through in your writing at least somewhat. And again, if you don't really have the written word mastered, bring this up, show this to somebody, and say, to someone who you admire and who you think can write better than you can, and say, hey, could you take a look at my work and see if it hits these main points? If not, could you just edit the crap out of it for me? I ask people to do that all the time. Your images are so important. So yes, a panelist has to see a resume, where you've been, and maybe where you're hopefully headed or where you've not been. And they want to see how you talk about your work, what you're making, but they want to see the work. That's almost like when you're reviewing applications for a week at a time, it is wonderful the day that you get to the images, because everybody loves the pictures. It's like a break for the mind. So when we're looking at images, we want to make sure that they're really large, because some opportunities, such as the exposure program, if you get in, you're automatically included in a publication. And that means you have to have not only images that work well if they're seen on a screen or through a projector, but they have to work well in the printed format, which means they have to have a certain DPI, and we'll go into that. So here's your images. For us, we require that you need to give us a link to your Dropbox folder or a zip file of your images. Now, here's the problem. If your Dropbox folder link is dead, you can have a great resume. You can nail your statement. But if your Dropbox folder link is dead, we're not here to hold your hand and make sure we get another one from you. Maybe if someone really knows you on the inside of an opportunity and says, I've just got to give them, help this artist along, sure. But hand-holding is not very common. And that's because the amount of resources that there are and the amount of pressure and artists trying to apply for those limited resources is incredible. So anything like this is a great excuse for someone to throw your resume or your application out and call it one less thing to have to dive into. So be sure your stuff works. Test it out with someone else. Send your zip file to your friend first. Make sure they can open it and download it. Send your Dropbox link to someone. Make sure they can open it and download it. Share it around. And also make sure that you really fulfill the requirements of the images. In this case, you need to have a description list and name your images accordingly so someone knows what image they're looking at for what piece of work. Now, here is exactly how you get high resolution images. Go into Photoshop, one way or another. Do image size, and you can see here, I took this image from the cover of one of our books, The Best Year Ever. It's a workbook for artists to set their goals and really kind of stay on track with their careers. It's a simple workbook. We put together this basic, cover. We had to make sure it was printable, and it is downloadable as well as in print, and so it had to have a 300 dp resolution. We changed that, and that made it change these pixel height and width. Now, you want to see if 164 676.4 or whatever, these image sizes and all these different things. You want to make sure that's not too big. It's going to crash everything if you're emailing it, right? But you do need to make sure you have your resolution down, and that you then you adjust your width and height so that things will actually be mailable, but that they fit the requirements of the resolution. Oops. So then we have images that sing. This is our description sheet sort of guide, and this is what a description sheet, what we were asking for and what many places are asking for when they ask to see your work. So you can have a great resume, a great statement, wonderful, glorious images, but if we don't know if we're looking at something the size of a thumb or the size of a truck, it's not going to work. Beautiful images just kind of sit there if they're not well explained. And this is a very simple way of explaining it. Now, you don't have to always include a thumbnail if you don't want to. You can title the image. So this is the image name, meaning the actual name of that JPEG that you submitted. 01 underscore last name is a great standard to use. It means that nothing is going to get lost and misassociated from your application. You don't know administratively what people are doing, so if you name your images with the number and the underscore last name, you're in great shape. It also just looks professional. You want to title it so that just because it's your underscore great last name, the title is this great painting, the year, the media, great. Whether we see a thumbnail of that or not, we can associate that by the image name. Oh, but we look here, the dimensions are 36 inches by 48 inches. Well, that was nice, but guess what? We got all the way through your application. We wasted all of this time because we're not accepting any pieces over 28 inches. So thanks for nothing. You just wasted your time and ours if you didn't read the directions well. So this is where reading those directions, knowing what you're actually submitting, making sure that's what they're actually asking for, and then you describe it well. That's just head and shoulders above a lot of your competition. So we ask for a headshot, and a lot of people just really don't like that, but we have found that people want to know who is making the work that they love. And if it's not for an exhibition like the exposure program and the artist isn't able to actually attend, we want to include a headshot. And where do we include a headshot? In all of our printed portfolios and in our Artists to Look Out For books. So Artists to Look Out For is one of our publication opportunities for artists, and we require, of course, high resolution images. And you can see we've featured some people on the cover, and then we have about 100. Next year it's going to be 100 to 200 artists in our Artists to Look Out For. It's a free opportunity. Anyone can be a part of it. It's free to apply. And so I hope that you check out starrynightretreat.com/ALF. And we're going to be opening up applications soon, and we're going to be putting the volume 2 out at the end of the year. And all exposure artists are asked to have high resolution images because they're automatically included in the Artists to Look Out For book. This is another place where we pull from that. So of those people that make it into the book, we pull from there the very best of the best, and we put them in our Best Year Ever workbook. So this is our once-a-year workbook that we update and slowly refine every year for artists to kind of work with and set their goals, fill out, and track their own progress throughout the year. It's got a lot of great information and resources, and it's designed to help artists set their goals and stay on track. So check that out if you like at starrynightretreat.com/bestyearever. And if you ever submit an application for exposure program, you've got a chance to be in this as well. Again, completely free opportunity. And I can't stress this enough, to start with what you've got and start with where you are. If you can see, this was Starry Night in 2005, 2010 when it was under construction more, and I was putting in all the landscaping. I did that myself. And 2015 after a lot of work. And you just got to start with what you have. You know, not everyone is born rich. Not everyone is born successful and connected. But if you just keep working, you're going to get there. And you've got to start with wherever you are. So if you don't have a lot of things on your resume, don't worry about it. It's still worth trying. You've got to keep applying. If you don't have a great statement, keep working on it. Keep trying. When you get rejected from an opportunity, follow up and say, hey, I noticed that I didn't get that. I really appreciate you taking the time to review it. Could you please let me know if there's any constructive criticism that the panelists wrote down and that they could share with me? I would really appreciate knowing what I could do better next time. It makes you look so professional and earnest and driven, and that's what every artist really needs to be. Now, I don't know why else you're here except to get kind of information on how to make a good application. But if you want more things like this, we have a program that we're opening up called the Art Program, the Artist Resources and Tools. All of those guides that we went over before are straight out of there. And it's opening up basically starting early bird registration is now through April 1st, and you can learn how to make your portfolio stand out, get more things like this, how to get a grant, how to talk about your work, how to make a gorgeous website, whether it's for selling directly or if it's just for exhibiting and showing off your work, knowing that difference, handling your sales and having all of your paperwork templates done, all of your different contracts, at least the templates for it started for you, so those conversations are easy. Ways to build your network, whether that's in person or online, and deal with your nerves when you're dealing with your shows. So we've got the nuts and bolts of all the things you need for a show as well. So it's one online course, about 2 hours a week-ish, but it goes for 6 weeks and it stays open forever. You have lifetime access, so you can continue to go back to it and use it for as long as you like. And you can find out more at starrynightretreat.com/art. What we cover is the big picture, how you get clear on your purpose and defining your mission as an artist. We bring into focus why you've chosen this path, help you to value yourself as an artist and a real cultural voice. And really the point of this whole part of it is to help you get clear and stay in the game, because this is not a sprint. It is a marathon, and it takes courage, as Henry Matisse said, creativity takes courage. We talk about your portfolio, as you can see. That was what we pulled a lot of the information in this video out of. So you've seen a little bit of what's in there, not really all of it. And we're going to have not only videos, but also webinars, audio recordings to listen to while you're in the studio, and a lot of printable material. So you can download and do all of the workbook stuff. We're going to talk about building your website so you get the results that you want. You determine what results you want, how you can organize your online gallery, how you can learn to make things work and learn ahead of time what really does not work, and which platform is going to work for you for the least amount of money. And so you can professionally write your content and stop looking like an emerging artist, even if you still are an emerging artist, which so many of us will be for so long. And also how to do SEO and get searchable so that when people look for you, you can have a really common name, but you can still hit at the top of that search if you know how. We also talk about networking and social media to expand your network and pack your shows with the right people, how to present yourself in front of the right people like a serious artist, and how to really get ahead of when you're in front of people so that your social media strategies don't make you look like a food pornographer. I think it's important. Stay in touch with collectors and viewers without seeming like a pushy jerk. And we have templates for your emails and all of your promotions, so you don't have to come up with all that content yourself. It's not rocket science. It just is information that should be shared. And there's no reason why someone who went to a prestigious school where they covered this and someone who didn't should automatically have the way ahead. And that's just ridiculous. I didn't get an expensive undergraduate degree, and I hope no one else had to either. And you don't have to. Even if you did, you don't have to go get expensive graduate training to be able to learn these things. We're going to talk about the nuts and bolts of selling your work so your shows are very successful, so you know how to leverage a group show into a solo show and get that confidence that you need, let you show your work outside of your comfort zone. The exposure program is designed for people who want to show outside their region. And you can figure out what kind of things you need to invest in to leverage your career forward the fastest. So there's turnkey templates to be able to handle everything that you'll need when you're showing, whether it's wall labels, mailing lists, how to follow up in an email, everything that you need for that, or how to introduce something into your like a newsletter to your mailing list so that they know that you're having a show. We also talk about just key relationships that you need, where to find people that are actually true supporters of the arts, and how to cultivate those powerful people as a part of your network, and how to confidently talk with them and not stumble over your words or look like you're out of your league. How to kind of fake it till you make it, and even when you're making it, how to keep going from there. So how to talk about your work succinctly. Learn how to give and become valuable. It's very important to figure out how you're going to engage people, not as a desperate person. You're not desperate, you have a lot to give, and identifying that and learning how to engage people as a giver is really important, because it makes you look powerful in and of yourself, and power attracts power. So art school is $4.99 if you enroll before April 1st. That's almost half off of our normal price, and it's only for artists who basically see this video or a couple of other things before April 1st, and then we'll be closing early bird registration. Art school starts on June 1st, so right after graduation we're going to just jump into this, but it doesn't have to go then. You can always get access, have access, and go to it whenever you want to. You'll have lifetime access to everything in there, all the videos, all the audio, all the downloadables, everything that we have. And it will be growing as the community members ask more questions and we realize there's other pieces to put in. So it's going to be evolving this whole time. You can get on the early bird registration by going to starrynightretreat.com/art/earlybird, or just email us at info@starrynightretreat.com if you have any questions, whether it's about this video, about applications, about art school, about the exposure program. That's the go-to email at Starry Night. And here's just a covering of all of the different URLs that we included in this. So you can find us on Facebook as well, and Twitter and Instagram, and that's our stuff. So I hope that this was helpful to you, and I hope that you apply to all of the great things that, you know, are going to make your career be what you want it to be. There's no time like the present. All right, thanks for watching.